They asked him where he was from, he just pointed at the ground and said he's born and raised. Yeah, I lived here all my life, some things will never change. He was born and raised. Lied right through his teeth, he lied right to their face. Got away. Born and raised.
Yes. Hey guys, listen, if you're tuning in with us and watching now, feel free to drop in questions or comments or tell us that we're wrong. That's totally fine as well. We're learning this technology as we go. I'm Garrett, and we have got Kent, my business partner from Born and Raised, on here, as well as Asher Coker from CHW Studios. We're going to be talking about live streaming, all the different hardware and software and tips and tricks to upgrade your live streaming experience during this this time where we're in quarantine. So, and I think all of this will still apply afterwards. So I think it's just good tips and tools to have as you're kind of navigating this world. So we're going to jump into it, guys. Asher, I'm going to introduce you real quick. Obviously, you and I have worked together for a very long time. We used to play music together. You've been a musician for a very long time. You studied music at UT. You've taught music. You've played with multiple bands around town, as well as in a professional setting with different worship teams and things like that. So you've kind of seen a lot of different parts of the industry, as well as teaching both in your own studio, but also now that we're in quarantine, you're learning how to teach via Skype and other tools like that. So I think that's why we wanted to have you on here. We want to thank you for being here with us.
Yeah, for sure. And thank you for reading my Wikipedia page.
Yeah, I haven't it hasn't been updated. It says that you're dead and that you died with Sinbad. And I know that's not true. But no, yeah, I appreciate you being in here and helping us figure out how to do this live stream stuff.
For sure.
If you guys want to jump into it and just kind of share why right now, what is so important about live stream right now?
Asher?
Yeah, well, I mean, the obvious, I was waiting for you to talk. The obvious is just that, I mean, we can't physically go anywhere without some amount of risk. So, and I mean, shows just aren't happening. In-person lessons aren't happening anywhere right now. Like, I was probably one of the last to shut down because I started Googling and researching, like, what are the other music academies doing? And I was like, okay, it's time. About 4 days ago. So yeah, I've had to learn a lot of technology that I was not very comfortable with in a really short amount of time, using Skype and also Zoom and a little bit of FaceTime to teach online.
Yeah. Sorry, I had the camera off of me so that I could take a hit from my Juul real quick. So yeah, I mean, now is a time when, like Asher said, nobody can really get together. Everybody's rushing to kind of figure out how to get this streaming stuff down. I've seen a lot of bands doing some live streams for concerts in people's homes that you can't do, obviously, out in public right now. And it's just a good way for people, not just musicians, everybody, to connect with other people in real time, since we can't all get together in one place.
I mean, I've been noticing more and more that, like, as people are doing this, the numbers of viewers are going up, especially for musicians. Obviously, I think that there's a lot of people that are just looking for entertainment in different ways, and replacing that. How do you see that trending over the next few weeks? Do you think that's that number that, like, people are going to get sick of it, or do you think that number is going to go up?
I think the next couple weeks it'll definitely go up, and then I think even beyond the COVID thing, I think more people will be comfortable doing it, which will be cool.
Yeah, I think there was like a boom in the first week of people starting to kind of self-quarantine, and I think it kind of went down a little bit. But I think as viewers start building habits of looking for live streams, I think those numbers are about to start going up in a more steady way for as long as the spread of COVID-19 goes on, and especially as we're gonna get into tonight all these cool tips and tricks and things that people can do to kind of spice up their live streams and make them a little bit more fancy. I think the quality of that is going to ultimately make the live streaming go up, and then also everybody's going to run out of things to watch on Netflix.
Did you guys see the post today? Netflix finally.
Yeah, just started Tiger King today.
Yeah, I think we're all getting close.
It's wild.
Yeah.
Well, obviously, a lot more people are getting into live streaming, and as that, inevitably fills up people's news feeds, it's important to stand out. And I think there's unique ways to get creative. So what are some ways that people can kind of stand out and cut through that noise and also get creative and make their live streams a little more interesting?
Yeah, I'm thinking just like recognizing what equipment you have and then doing as much research as you can, which we all have a lot more time for right now, so that you can use it to the best of its ability and your ability and things like that.
Yeah, I think there are certain things, and this is one of the main things that I wanted to talk about tonight. There are things that you may already have in your possession that can help your live stream stand out, especially for musicians. If you have like a home recording setup or something, there are ways that you can connect those things if you have like a digital soundboard or an interface. And also things like for lighting, like I'm using a desk lamp right now. Just stuff like that where you can just find things that you already have, or maybe if you don't have, is really inexpensive to find. And they're really easy. We're going to get into a lot of them.
Do you know the cost on the desk lamp? Like, should we keep a running tally going in the corner?
Garrett bought
I think it was
Amazon.
$12. It was $12. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's a really fancy one. I'm not gonna lie. It's like LED. You can set the color temperature of the lamp on it, and it's also dimmable. It's really, and you can charge your phone from it. So
Wow.
It's
pretty cool. Yeah. Well, what
Yeah.
about outside, before we jump into hardware and software, which we're gonna do here in a minute, but outside of that kind of stuff, what are some things that people should be thinking about in terms of content that can help them kind of stand out? I know there's been we've already seen a couple of things pop up in the last week that were really creative. What are let's just throw out some examples or ideas.
Yeah, it's tough to speak to how musicians can make their content good, because it's just that's just the most obvious thing. It's just hey, just be good if you're going to go live, obviously. But, in terms of us sitting here telling you how to be a good musician, we're not really going to do that. But there are things that you can do to kind of stand out. Here some examples that I've seen just this week. Knox Trivia guys did a live trivia game. Brendan and Andy got together and were wearing Hawaiian shirts. Just something really simple and easy and goofy, because that kind of matches their brand identity. And it was a lot of fun. It's just eye-catching. You see these two goobers sitting there asking trivia questions, wearing Hawaiian shirts, drinking gin and tonics, and you're kind of what's going on there? It's anything that's eye-catching, because you gotta kind of consider how the consumer is finding your stream, right? So it's going down through a feed. So if you know that if you're scrolling through, say you're playing in a dark room as some kind of artsy statement or something, I don't know. But people will scroll through that, and it'll be really easy just to keep on scrolling by. And I think the most important thing, this is something Zach Roskop and I were talking about last week before he started his live brew tours. I was trying to give him tips on all this fancy new equipment that we learned how to use, and he was like, man, I don't really care about any of that. He's like, what people want to see right now is authenticity. And he was like, what I want to do is I want to walk people through a brewery and give them a tour, and if I have to be tethered to a laptop, it's not even going to be worth it. And I was like, that's absolutely true. So just kind of knowing what is best going to serve your purpose for live streaming, and just being your authentic self. And the tagline that we came up with that night was authenticity over audio quality. And I think that's important. With that said, we are going to talk a lot about audio and how you can make your thing a little bit better, which is particularly important for musicians.
Yeah, for sure. I thought that you were going to say that Zach said what people want to see right now is beer, which is probably also true.
It is.
That's also true. Yeah, but especially for him. Well, and I remember Caleb did a karaoke night, which was really interesting to me. Just kind of taking a concept. Everyone has seen Caleb in live, but allowing him to like interact more, because I think that's what's super interesting about live streams in general, is that there's more of an interactive element. I think it's important to kind of play into that. And so he typically does karaoke for his birthday, but he was able to do it with his fans and take requests. And we saw some really cool karaoke songs from Caleb. No one can crush karaoke like that guy. But, I think it's just staying true to your brand, staying true to who you are, but coming up with, okay, well, how do I take that brand and then make it authentic to who I am, and what my brand is about. So. And use it for live stream. So, yeah, I think that's good.
Yeah, and I think an important thing to say too is, like, if you're watching everybody else go live with stuff, don't go live just for the purpose of going live. Like the time for that,
like
was,
we did. No, I'm just kidding.
Like, yeah, basically. I mean, not really. We planned this out. We had an idea in mind.
I'm just messing.
But the time for going live just for the sake of it kind of ended in 2014, the first week after Facebook Live, or after Facebook invented Facebook Live. So have a plan in mind. Have something that you want to actually do or say or play, rather than just like going out there and winging it.
Yeah. That's really what I was going to address too. Like Kent, you were talking a lot about just self-awareness kinds of things, like how are you coming across, and I think just having a good set flow and making sure that you're taking breaks also to interact with whoever's in the chat.
Yeah. And this is a thing that I wanted to say too, but we're not taking our own advice right now, is that you can do things in your own setting. You can like build a set or kind of decorate around. We're all in front of drab white backgrounds right now, so we're not even really taking our own advice on that. But that's something something really easy that you can do, again, just with stuff that you have around the house, like a potted plant or a poster or a flag or something. I don't know, whatever you got.
I don't know, man. I feel like my wall's pretty. Look, I got a little. You can see my little screen right there. Tells you the weather outside. That's pretty interactive.
It's a good little touch of color. And I've got a whiteboard. I could.
Hey,
yeah.
Kent. Mark says my mic is super hot. Anything you can do about that on the other? That actually brings up a good point. Is when you're going live. One thing we didn't do, but we're learning to do as we go, is you want to just like test all of your equipment. We tested this last night. We tested it again today. And we're doing our best to test it all as we go. But I think it's just important, if you're going to go live and you want everything to be right, get your lighting right, get your audio right, test levels, try to get things even. And ultimately the biggest barrier to this is going to be your internet. And that's something that obviously
before we started, like 10 minutes before we started.
Good omen.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah, there's only so much you can do about that, and especially in this setting. But in a more professional setting, maybe that's something you call your internet provider, and and double check, and just have backups too. So
yeah, Garrett, he was right. Your mic is pretty hot.
I got a hot mic.
Yeah.
Can you turn it down, or do I need to do that?
I did. I got it.
Oh, good. Hey, Mark, how does that sound?
And tell Mark to jump in the comments instead of texting us. That tool. We need those algorithm bumps.
Yeah, really.
It's that light.
We need more distractions right now.
Yeah, totally. Well, okay. Well, now we've talked about a lot of stuff. Let's jump into equipment. Let's talk about. It's that light right there. Let's talk about equipment. Let's jump into audio. Asher, I know you have a lot of experience with the audio side of things. What is the best way to get audio, and what can you use that's already at your disposal as well?
Yeah, I mean, the obvious thing, which none of us are currently using, would be if you just have a computer or a phone, you can use that mic. It's not going to be the greatest. I think everyone probably knows that, probably on board with that. But if you have even just a 2-channel interface, like this is a Scarlett 2i2, I believe, or even a one-channel interface that you can just plug a mic into, that's going to be just so much better than using the mic on your computer or phone. But then you can see that we all have a different setup here. Like Garrett is using headphones that have a mic built into it. Kent is on an SM58. And what else are you using over there, Kent?
I am using, so I wouldn't expect everybody to have this in their house. I'm using a Behringer X32 producer desk. It's what we use for our live shows. And since there are no live shows right now, it's kind of sitting in our office there for our podcasts and live streams. That's funny. You've got your interface. I've got my little one too. This is a Steinberg UR12. It's a 2-channel, super simple, plugs right into GarageBand, and I think it cost me like $35. There's some really inexpensive, pretty decent quality stuff out there that you can use.
Yeah, and again, like any of these is going to be so much better than just using the mic on your computer or phone. And then I have a Live Track L12 board over here by a company called Zoom, and then the Joe Rogan podcasting mic SM7.
Joe Rogan.
Get Joe Rogan to come on our podcast and
okay. Well,
talk about
obviously
podcast beef.
Yeah, seriously. You are controlling this whole live stream right now. We've got 3 different things that we're obviously bringing audio into. Will you guys both kind of share about, okay, we've got our interfaces, but how do we get all of that audio into one single source for that live stream?
Yeah, so kind of just a general overview. I think there might be some people watching this right now and being like, well, how are they doing 3 different cameras right now? Like, how is this even possible that they're doing this when they're all in 3 different places? And the answer is there are different softwares that you can use specifically for streaming. And I'll be honest, I personally looked into this stuff when streaming first became a thing, and it was kind of intimidating. I was like, all this stuff's going to be super expensive and really complicated to use. And then once COVID-19 hit and we were like looking for other things to do rather than promote shows because we couldn't promote any shows, I just started digging in and found out that that's not the case at all. The one we're using right now is called Ecamm, Ecamm Live. It is really, really easy to use. It was shockingly easy to use. It has this camera switcher where I can take myself out, add myself back, take Garrett out, screw you, Garrett, bye, and add different things and use different kind of camera configurations. It also will allow you to set up a DSLR camera through a USB. And now here we've got a quad screen. There it is sitting behind my laptop to give you kind of a behind the scenes view. I think it might be lagging a little bit, but that's okay. I just kind of wanted to show that off. And there are other things out there. Ecamm is $12 a month, which I thought was super reasonable for what it does. There are other ones that are free. There's one called OBS, I think is the most popular free platform that you can use. I haven't dug in as much to that, so if anybody's listening to this that has any good resources for using OBS for people that don't want to pay $12 a month, please drop those in the comments here right now. As far as running the audio out, it was just as simple as plugging in our board to the USB and then going into the audio settings of Ecamm. And mine was called XUSB. I just selected that, and it was it. And Asher, you've got a graphic to share for that, right? Did we drop that in the link yet?
I have a link. It's actually on my website, so I don't really have a good graphic. But if you want, I can talk through, like everything that Kent just said was helpful if you're like one person streaming. But if you do want to have more people in there, there are a few other plugins and things that you can download that gets everybody going into the same like audio feed. So
I just dropped your link in the comments, so if you guys see that, just you can click on there and probably find it. Is it just on your homepage or?
No, that links to like a button you can click and it pops up. You can download it. You can print it. It's free. You don't even have to sign up for my email list and buy my course.
That is generous.
Hey, you're welcome.
You should sign up for his email list. Do you have an email list?
I do have an email list.
Sign up for his email list just to be cool.
It's on that website.
And just so everyone knows, we've Skyped in. We're using Skype at the moment, so we Skyped into Kent, and Kent is using Ecamm to pull all of that information in. And we're actually recording all this. We're going to turn it into a podcast.
Yeah, and it's
Which it.
Yeah, and then thankfully you could turn Garrett down because he was super loud.
yeah, exactly.
Little on the go mixing, if you will.
Yeah. Well, what I was going to do is screen share for just a minute and kind of talk through like the other things that you can use if you have a 2-channel interface like this Scarlett. If you wanted to do one channel for your guitar and then one channel for vocals, it's not actually going to work unless you download some things that get both of those channels into one output, because otherwise the only thing that's going to come through is channel number 1 from any interface, even if you have like the 32 channel what is that thing called, Behringer?
Yeah.
Hey, Kent.
What's up?
Rusty asks, is there any way you could show us what you're doing with your hands with your second camera?
Yes. Actually, no, because they're hidden behind the laptop. But you can see my cool stickers on my laptop.
Well, I think he meant like with that second camera, or you know,
Like with the DSLR.
Oh man, I don't know what this is gonna do.
This is working.
We're going to go back in
you
time.
Have your...
Yeah, it's probably really laggy.
We're going to get stuck in the biodome.
That's it.
Okay.
That's all it is.
Is that from your DSLR that's also
Yes.
plugged in? Okay, cool. And I was going to say the other cool thing with Ecamm, if you do plug in your phone to your computer, it'll access its camera, and then you can use that for like a second shot. Just because it's cheaper than DSLR.
Yeah.
And you're able to do screen shares and stuff like that through both Skype and then also Ecamm. Is that right?
Yeah, Asher, you're about to show us a screen share, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, go for it.
I feel like we went on a tangent. I didn't know if we were back yet. So okay.
We're back.
So this is all of us on Skype right now. So basically, once you have your interface set up and you've got everything plugged in and that's going into your computer, if you are wanting to broadcast more than just that one channel, what you're going to need to download is this thing called Ladiocast. I think that's how you pronounce it, or Ladiocast. Do you all want to give it a shot? No, maybe
No,
not.
I'm
Okay.
good.
So what I have going on here, and I know this is kind of tiny, but my microphone is in channel 8 of my board, and then like over here I actually have a guitar plugged into channel 1. So those are both going through my Zoom board, and then the output over here is set to Soundflower, which would be the next thing that you have to download there. So
I'm not sure it's showing up in the live stream, Kent.
It is.
His
It is.
Okay.
I feel like I'm switching back
Oh
and
yeah,
forth
sorry.
too much.
It's just like
Was it just the lag?
It's the lag.
it's a lag. It's a lag. You guys will know
Okay.
here in a minute.
Yeah, but you can see that coming through that channel, and with Ladiocast, you can do up to 4 channels for free, and if you pay, I can't remember how much, you can do like an unlimited amount basically, and just stream your whole board through Soundflower, which kind of like mixes everything down into just one output that you can see over here. And I've got like the page pulled up for Ladiocast. If you just Google it, you can find it. It's free. But what I had a big problem with was I downloaded Ladiocast, and then I couldn't really find a way to get the output to work. So that's where Soundflower comes in. And not trying to insult anyone's intelligence here, but I just didn't know what this was, because it doesn't come up as a program or anything. It's just a plug-in for your computer. And that is what, if we go back over here, is mixing everything down to just 2 channels. So if we go back over to Skype, now that I have all that mixed in there, my microphone is just doing the Soundflower output. So my entire, like, anything I have going through the board through Radiocast is going into Soundflower. That all makes sense.
Do you have your guitar or anything near you that you could do an example of that? Show us how like both of them are working together.
Sorry,
Ooh,
second.
I like that.
Asher really got me here because I thought that I wasn't being recorded, and then he hit us with the screencast of his Skype.
You made those mean signals with your hands too. Okay, so now you can see my guitar is coming through channel 1 right there. It's also really quiet. So I've got the mic up here in channel 8, guitar in channel 1. So that's how Radiocast can get a couple extras in there for you. Yeah. And then over here in Skype, just because we're going from Skype into Kent's Ecamm. Sorry, I'm back on you guys now. I need to warn you or something, but I'm not going to. Then those are all coming back through my microphone, so Kent can mix the stuff in Ecamm. Any questions?
No, I mean, I think it's cool that you're capable of basically taking multiple channels and getting it into a high quality format for live streaming. Because I know a lot of, especially if you're talking to like a singer songwriter who just wants their acoustic guitar, like you don't, you lose so much tone through the microphone on the computer. So like setting up a condenser mic maybe, or plugging directly in with a DI box, like I think that's going to make a huge difference. And ultimately, people are still just going to watch this on their phone or on their computer, but you know, every little thing along the way helps. And you know, I encourage everyone else when you're listening to these, live streams, plug some headphones in, or you know, put it into a Bluetooth speaker and see what it sounds like. So
yeah, I mean, for musicians doing live streams right now, I mean, so many people are at home watching these things. You can be reaching people that have never heard your music before, and their first impression of your music could be you going on a live stream. And I would have to imagine that most musicians would not love the audio coming through a stock microphone on a MacBook and then out to stock speakers on another laptop or computer is not how they would want their music represented. And basically any microphone, any kind of home recording setup you've got is going to be better than just the system microphone on a laptop.
Right. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and drop a couple of links to some of these things that we're talking about in the actual Facebook Live. That's another thing, the Ecamm that you can do. You can go live to Facebook. You can go live to YouTube. You can go live to Periscope for those who are on Periscope. You can go live to a handful of other platforms through Ecamm, which is super helpful. But for those who want to look this stuff up later or are listening to the podcast of this, where are some places that they can go find this? Obviously, Asher, you want to share a little bit about your website?
Yeah. You posted that link in there. That's really the only thing that's going to be helpful on my website for live streaming. But there's a place that you can sign up for my email list, or just drop a comment in there without like signing up for, you know, regular blog updates and things like that. Yeah, or just interact with us on Facebook and we can answer your questions for sure.
Cool. Well,
Were you
let's
looking
see.
for more than that?
No, I mean, I just want to make sure people can find this stuff when they're looking for it. Obviously, Ecamm was something we talked about.
Yeah.
You know, make sure, even if it's just using like the iPod headphones and the microphone that's in it, that's still better than the microphone that's on your computer. So you don't have to do much, but that alone will make a big difference when you're talking. And then, you know, some of these other programs as well, we'll recap, and you can find them on all of our websites. So if anyone has any questions though, go ahead. This is the time. Go ahead and hit us up. We're going to be wrapping up here soon, but I'll go ahead and scroll to the top and see if there's any.
I believe Kenny asked us a question.
Well, Don started with when's the Foo Fighters Green Day show happening?
Well,
I think we rescheduled that, right? We rescheduled it, but it might have to be rescheduled again, honestly.
Yeah.
That's the hardest thing that we're all going through is like, it's kind of a toss up when all of these events are going to be back on. So we'll see.
And we're not here to give COVID updates, but you can contact Garrett directly for that.
Yes, I might start my own podcast about that. I would actually love to do that. Rusty asked, would Mark mind if we photoshopped Asher's face on the Bojangles Unchained Silent Disco image?
Absolutely.
My sense is that
free.
he would mind.
He would mind. We learned, yeah. That's a OG photo. We don't need to touch that. We already did enough Photoshop with it.
Yeah.
Kenny asked, have you ever done DMT?
I have not, but maybe quarantine is the time to give it a shot. Just see what it's about.
Yeah, can we say not yet?
Sturgill Simpson seems to like it, and I like Sturgill Simpson, so, who knows?
Did Carol Baskins feed her husband to the tigers?
Look, can we not talk about this? I just finished episode 2.
She definitely did.
100%.
I knew from the moment I saw her, I was like, nah, she killed her husband.
If they reveal anything to that end later, don't say it. Say it. Tell me. Don't tell me. Tell me.
Shut your mouth.
Doesn't it feel kind of like a weird, like Coen Brothers comedy?
Kind of.
Like it just keeps getting more ridiculous.
I don't know if the Coen Brothers could even come up with something that crazy.
I don't know. Any other questions out there? People got questions. Pants are overrated. That's true. You're right.
I'm not wearing them.
Not a single one of us is wearing.
Nary a pair of pants to be found amongst the three of us.
Kent, you want to share about our podcast?
I would love to. Yeah, we've started a podcast. We were going to do it anyway. We were planning on dropping it, the first episode, about a month from now. But once all this COVID-19 stuff hit, we had a lot more time free up all of a sudden because there aren't any shows happening. We've got some great guests on the first handful of episodes. We're going to drop, I think, the first 3 all at once sometime very soon, probably as early as tomorrow is what we were shooting for, but we're running through some technical issues, so maybe Monday.
I mean, if you want to listen on Spotify, you can listen on Spotify, but it won't be, or it'll be available everywhere by Monday.
Yeah, they're actually up on Spotify right now if you want to go listen to them. We're really excited about it. We're interviewing a lot of different people from a lot of different professions about things that we can learn for entrepreneurship and being a working musician, and kind of like what we're doing right now, kind of tips and tricks of the trade, stuff that you can do to get a little bit better every week when we release a new podcast.
So Rusty asked, what's your favorite platform for streaming? We're planning on using Twitch for the Sofa Soiree. By the way, if you don't know about that, you guys should definitely check that out. That's this Saturday. Yeah. And it's a online music festival that's streaming. It's super cool. But what do you guys
only on Twitch?
I don't know. I think they're going back and forth right now. But what I would say is I would go with where your audience is. What are people most comfortable with?
Right. Yeah. That was in my notes to make sure we plugged Rusty's Sofa Soiree is what it's called, right? Yeah.
It's put on by Second Bell and Blank News. But yeah, I mean, there's going to be a lot of musicians that are going to be on there.
Super cool.
It's a live stream music festival. So if you got time on Saturday, which we all know you do, you should check it out because it's going to be really cool. But if I were to pick something, I would say, go to as many platforms as you can, but if you really have to pick one, I would find out where your audience is and comfortable with and meet them where they are.
Yeah.
And Ecamm can do.
Go ahead. Asher.
Ecamm can do Twitch, Facebook, Periscope, and there was something else on there. YouTube, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it might be a good time to try that.
YouTube, you got to be careful about copyrighted content. They'll flag anything, man.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so that is one thing that I wanted to get into tonight is the different platforms and what their advantages and disadvantages are. So Facebook, we're on Facebook right now. Obviously, it is going to be one of the ones that allows us to use Ecamm, so we get to actually do all of this, where we have all 3 of us Skyping in at one time. YouTube is good, but it's kind of harder unless you have built up a big subscribership base on YouTube to reach the people that you want to reach. Instagram is great, but it is only for mobile, so maybe not the best if you're a musician, or rather if you have a full band and you want to try to do something like that. Again, it's only going to be able to go through your phone's audio. But the good thing about Instagram is it will notify all of your followers once you go live, so it's a little bit better for getting people to engage with you during your live stream while you're in the moment. While Facebook, you'll get some viewers while you're going live at the time. A lot of your viewers are going to end up coming afterwards when it gets posted, when Facebook archives your video and then puts it back onto your page's feed. And there's a bunch of different ways, bunch of different places you can do it. I was talking to Rusty about Twitch the other night and how that all is going to work. And I wanted to be able to tell him more. I know literally nothing about Twitch other than that it's for gamers and you can stream through it. So if Rusty or anybody else out there has information about Twitch, please drop those in the comments here. And one thing I'll say too for going mobile, we've talked about different like equipment that's pretty inexpensive. If you're going to do something like going outside, maybe, like even if you're just going like out on your back porch, sometimes wind can come into the phone's microphone and make things really, really choppy and really hard to hear. You can get something like this, Lavel Ear Mics that can plug directly into your phone. I bought this a couple years ago and kind of forgot about it, and then I found them when I was moving a couple weeks ago. Hold on, I'm going to get this out of the box and get it off of my face real quick. Yeah, exactly. So it's got this little clip here, and you plug this directly into your phone. You can use the dongle if you've got a newer iPhone. It's got the 1/8-inch headphone jack here. Super simple. You just plug and go, and it can that wind filter on the lavalier can really help things like if you're going outside anywhere or any place where there's a lot of ambient noise. That's something that's really, really pretty cheap. I think I bought that for like $40-$50 maybe. And I bought 2 of them. You can connect multiple ones together if you're interviewing people. Another thing that I have for you, excuse me one second. Tripod. There's all kinds of different tripods out there. This one I really love. It's called DigiAnt. It's got a holder for any size phone, even my huge iPhone 8 Plus, which is basically a Samsung Galaxy Note size phone, but it doesn't explode. Anything like that, especially if you are quarantined and you don't have somebody to help you out with your stream that's going to hold the phone for you. You can just set up a tripod that will allow you to, move around, do whatever you want.
Any other questions in there?
I'm not seeing any. I think we're good, guys. Hey, listen, thanks for listening in to us. Obviously, I unplugged my headphones, so I don't know how well you can hear me now. This is what a phone would just sound like if you just had your phone microphone working.
I was going to say it's a good A and B of like the difference there.
Yeah, that's why I did.
Yeah, it was better with the headphones for sure.
So yeah, make sure you're using your headphones. But yeah, if you guys have more questions, feel free to reach out to us, and you can find this on the Born and Raised Music Podcast coming out next week.
Yeah, and stay tuned. We may do something like this again, probably not specifically having to do with streaming, but something where we can do a live show where people can come in with whatever questions. We may also do one that's just recommendations for Netflix shows to watch while you're being quarantined.
I like it.
So,
Asher, thanks again, man.
Say what? I'm sorry, you cut out for a second.
I said thanks again. Thanks again for being with us.
Yeah, thanks.
Hey, thanks for having me.
All right, guys. Not the most graceful dismount, but here we go. Ending stream now. Thanks, everybody.